Hey, you guys, welcome back to Naughty Love Movement. It's your girl, Nikki, and today I'm bringing opportunities for advertisement on my channel. If anyone is interested, they can email us at naughtylove2020@gmail.com. Our prices are affordable and reasonable, and please reach out to us. We can start our videos with any commercials that you would like us to advertise. I look forward to hearing from you. I'm out. One. Hey, you guys. Welcome back. back. We are back home in Jersey safe. Thank you all who supported today. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and donate to the channel. Okay, I got you some live footage outside of the courthouse today. Please check out my video from earlier. We got footage of Gene Deal. We got commentary from other content creators. It was a great energy out there. Everyone was working together to gather information. Great. I'm glad I made the decision to go today because Capricorn Clark's testimony today was compelling. And I just really feel like the defense has an uphill battle right now to debunk these allegations. Some of the things the defense tried to do to discredit Capricorn Clark and Cassie is the fact that they went back to work for Diddy. But at the end of the day, he blacklisted Capricorn to the point where she couldn't get any work because after him in 2012, she went to work for Chris Lighty, who is responsible for the $1 million vitamin water deal he got for 50 Cent. So she went over to manage 50 Cent. Well, her career ended with Chris Lighty when he came up deleted. And we all know the suspicious accusations surrounding his demise. Okay. All right. So a lot came out in court. How the defense ended. So first prosecution redirected to clarify some things. I thought they did a very, very good job. But then the defense came back and said, did you ever speak with Cassie about leaving the relationship? And Cassie said, who am I going to be with? Jay-Z? He's taken. I thought that was compelling. All right. But as much as they're trying to discredit Cassie, Capricorn Clark, the fact is, the prosecution was they did a really, really good job of corroborating Kid Cudi's testimony and Cassie's testimony. Okay. Diddy definitely kidnapped Capricorn at GUN point. Okay. Please thumbs up the video, share the live out. Okay. We are back. A couple of things I want to get into. I'll get into the highlights of today. Trial, being that I missed the morning, and I want to get into Q day 26. Now he was on Vlad TV with his group, and he says his situation with the diddler has caused him to be on meds for the rest of his life. Okay, some audio has come out between him and Aubrey O'Day where Q is describing a situation. He said it was a spiritual sacrifice. Okay, so we're going to get into that. And Dawn Richard responded because he said that Dawn gave him a e-pill. Okay. Hey, y'all. Hey, grown woman. Hey, Natalia. Thank y'all for joining. Please thumbs up this video. I also met Simone Redwine, who is great. She's a legal attorney by trade. She's the one that's over there debunking Jennifer and her marriage. And she's the one that exposed the scam. She was out there, beautiful in person, very beautiful woman. Tisa Tells was out there. She was a she's gorgeous in person. I mean, the camera just doesn't even do her just do. Hip Hop Inquirer, who I follow, and he was like, I know who you are. He gave me some great insight because I missed the morning. So please thumbs up the video, share this live out. Yes, we got boots on the ground today, Naughty Crew. Boots on the ground. Okay, so let's give a recap according to CNN. Shout out to them. And please go check out my live from this morning. I mean, it was lit out there outside of the courthouse. It was definitely lit. All right, let me go back. So a lot came out. They went over a lot of email content of Capricorn, basically begging for Seann to forgive her, you know. But she did get across, and the jury heard it, even though it was objected. She did get across, like she couldn't get work. So let's get into some of the morning recaps since I missed it. Let me see. All right. So former Combs employee Capricorn Clark called to the stand. Please thumbs up the video. Oh, thank you so much, grown woman. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. All right. So the jury has entered and prosecutors have called Capricorn Clark, a former director of marketing for Seann Diddy Combs, to the stand. Clark is the 17th witness called by prosecution. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mitzi Steiner will question her. So she came up in Kid Cudi's testimony last week. So Capricorn Clark, the former director of marketing of Seann Diddy Combs, said she has been involved in the music industry and since shortly after graduating from high school when she landed an internship with Def Jam Records. She said both her parents died shortly after that, which meant she had to start life a lot earlier. And her parents, she was 17 when both her parents died. So after Def Jam, she worked for Death Row Records, which Suge Knight then managed. Around 2004, she started working for Combs at Bad Boy Entertainment and his personal assistant. She said, after briefly leaving in 2006, she returned to work for Combs in 2007 as the director of marketing for Sean John Women's. She said she became a global brand director in 2008 before being terminated in 2012. She then worked as Cassie Ventura's creative director from 2016 to 2018. So these dates are very key. Hey, Tels. Hey, y'all. For those of you who don't know, I was like boots on the ground. I was live at the Diddy's trial. So please check out my lives from earlier today. Got a lot of great content. All right. So then next, Combs' former assistant says he threatened her on her first day. So on her first day of working for Seann Diddy Combs in 2004, Capricorn Clark said he took her to Central Park with his security guard sometime after 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There, he brought up her former employment with Death Row Records, which was founded by Combs' rival, Suge Knight. Here's Suge Knight's name being mentioned again. Welcome, 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 everybody. Please share this live, like the video. Okay, so she said, he told me that he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight. And if anything happened, he would have to delete me. Clark testified. The security guard stood by silently while Combs threatened her, Clark said. She said, she told Combs at the time, we'll just have to see. She testified that she felt she couldn't convince him that she was trustworthy at the time and said couldn't have been more transparent about her employment background. Right. So, like, he found this out after the fact, even though she had full disclosure, and now he wants to, like, threaten her because he doesn't like Suge Knight. Now, we had testimony from Cassie stating that he found out that Suge Knight was in town or in the area, and he ran out the house with his blicky. All right. Clark remembers Combs discussing GUN once, she says. Okay. So when Capricorn Clark was Seann Diddy Combs' personal assistant, she heard him discuss GUNs once she testified. Clark, Combs, and his then manager got into an elevator after Combs did an MTV event that also involved rapper 50 Cent, she said. Combs told his elevator companions he had an issue with 50 Cent. And after further conversation, Combs said, I don't do that. I like GUNs, Clark testified. Combs' demeanor was very serious, she said. Wow. And here it is. He went on the Breakfast Club talk about he loves me. Oh, yeah, I offered to take him shopping because I felt like he needed some clothes. Ciao. So then Combs Diddy accuses Clark of stealing jewelry. So she said one time Sean Diddy Combs accused Capricorn Clark of stealing diamond jewelry that was on loan to him from a jeweler. See, them rappers don't be buying that jewelry. The former assistant testified. Clark had been assigned to hold the jewelry as they traveled from New York to Miami. She realized the bag holding the jewelry was missing before they got to the airport. Clark testified. Combs went on to Miami, leaving Clark with security guard who questioned her for hours and then searched her apartment. The next day, the security guard picked her up from her home and left her in a locked vacant office space with another man who administered a lie detector test on her. Okay. Clark testified that the man told her at the time that if she failed the test, they're going to throw you in the East River. She described him as very wide, but never learned his name. I wonder who that was. Yes, child. Ooh. Donations are definitely appreciated, but if you do not have it to donate, please at least thumbs up the video, share the live out, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Those are the free ways to support the channel. So she says she took multiple lie detector tests after he accused her of stealing. So Capricorn Clark, former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs, said that after he accused her of stealing diamond jewelry, she was given a lie detector test. She said, quote, I was petrified. She's at one point, the man administering the test told her she needed to calm down because the results were inconclusive. And she quote, I'm not getting a good reading. You're going to be, you need to calm down or you're going to be in the East River if I can't get a reading on this. Clark recalled the man saying, she said, I couldn't calm down. She said, I mean, this is after he took her in Central Park, threatened her. I would be terrified too. Right. It was completely fabricated. So eventually, one of Combs' security guards took her home and picked her up the next day to repeat the same process. Clark testified she was taken to the same vacant office building for questioning with the lie detector for 5 straight days. She said she didn't want to do it, but thought the lie detector was the only way to prove her innocence. Clark says she didn't report the incident to the police because she worked under a non-disclosure agreement. Judge, the judge sustained a defense objection to the testimony about the NDA and told the jury to disregard it, but they heard it already, okay? After the 5 days for test, Combs security told Clark she could return to work. She said Clark testified that Combs never asked her where she was during those 5 days, and he never mentioned the lie detector test to her. She said she didn't know if the jewelry was ever found. Fabricated. They was trying to set her up. So Capricorn Clark, the former director of marketing for Sean Diddy Combs, typically worked from 9 a.m. until 4 a.m. Wow. As Combs' personal assistant without breaks or meals. So this is the forced labor. Combs told her that if she failed to complete any task, she would lose her job, she testified. She said that on a good night, she got 4 hours of sleep and developed stress-induced alopecia. Wow. Clark made $65,000 a year annually at the time, she said. So then Clark was due $80,000 for 3 months of overtime, but wasn't paid, she says. So Capricorn Clark continues to testify about her early employment under Sean Diddy Combs when she was his personal assistant from 2004 to 2006. At one point, a human resources representative from Bad Boy presented Combs with a sheet that calculated what Clark was owed for overtime, which was $80,000 for a 3-month period, she said. He ripped up the paper, Clark said, and she was never compensated for overtime, Clark testified. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Total setup. Yes. That's very telling. The fact that she said petrified. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's next. Combs used aliases for hotel stays, traveled with drugs and camera, ex-assistant testified. So when Sean Diddy Combs traveled, his rooms were usually reserved under the names Frank Black, Frank White, Capricorn Clark Combs, former assistant testified. The name Frank Black was a reference to the late rapper and bad boy record artist Notorious B.I.G., who had the nickname of Frank White. I would unpack all of his clothes and shoes and personal belongings and put them in their place, she said. Combs traveled with a toiletry bag containing rugs and a camera box, which had 4 cameras along with a small bottle of baby oil and a small bottle of lube, according to Clark. Clark said she would also bring candles to provide lighting in the room. After Combs' stay, Clark said she would sweep the room for anything left behind. She said she sometimes saw damage to the room, including handprints left in oil. Wow. She was setting up freak offs too. Or King's Night, as he used to call them. So this kind of brings together the other 2 assistants that testified and the hotel employee that testified. All right. So this is some insight. So prosecution needs to show criminal meetings of the minds to prove conspiracy charge, legal analysts say. So the testimony of Capricorn Clark, a former employee of Sean Diddy Combs, should help corroborate both Kid Cudi and Cassie Ventura's testimonies. But the prosecution still has a lot to prove in other areas in the case. So according to CNN legal analyst and former prosecutor Jennifer Rogers, it seems to me that the prosecutors have decided to start with this bucket. Cassie Ventura, her testimony, then all of the testimony that corroborated her, Roger told CNN. But I think the jury is thinking about this conspiracy. You need 2 people to criminally conspire for this racketeering conspiracy to work. So Roger added that she thinks prosecutor needs to answer more questions for the jury related to the racketeering conspiracy charge. Those other questions includes laying out where are the other conspirators, not only who did things. Well, the security guards' names keep coming up. D Rock has come up. What's the other security guard? I forget his name. All right. Those other questions include laying out where the other conspirators, not only who did things for him, like any employee would. That's what the assistants are testifying for. But who had a meeting of the minds, a criminal meeting of the minds, that they were all together in this enterprise? As for how the prosecution may go about proving the alleged criminal acts Combs committed within his business empire, Rogers said they need to identify people within his business who may have been involved in the criminality of what they were doing. So Rogers said they can also show that through testimony with witnesses saying they were directly criminally involved or by naming others who knew what was going on. So, you have the assistant that testified and got immunity, which I don't even know why he got immunity, because he alluded to transporting DRUGSs for Diddy, setting up the rooms and things like that. Hey Buck. Hey Chantel. Hey y'all, please thumbs up the video, share it out. I'm just giving a recap of the morning testimony because I missed that. I only got the afternoon testimony on the cross-examination. Just kind of fill in the blanks for you guys. All right, so Capricorn Clark saw Sean Diddy Combs doing E and Ma Lee, y'all filling in about once a week in addition to prescription medication, she testified. Combs' rug use increased over time, she said. A man called One Stop usually provided the rugs when they were in Los Angeles, and the rugs usually were delivered to her or to Combs directly, she said. Combs asked her to get him E fewer than 10 times, she said. Clark saw Combs offer drugs to his friends and girlfriends, she said. During a trip to France in 2006, Combs asked her to get the cocaine. When she asked Combs who it was for, Combs responded that it wasn't for him, she testified. Clark then had the security guard obtain the drugs as she testified. Okay. Clark also would get prescription drugs for Combs, she said. Sometimes the prescriptions were made out to her, and other times they were made out to Combs. So Clark counted 100,000 euros in the club earnings for Combs, she said. So Capricorn Clark, Seann Diddy Combs' former employee, recalled a time when Combs had 100,000 euros that he made from club booking in Europe. Clark said she personally counted the cash and believed Combs kept it in his personal safe in his bedroom. Combs told ex-assistant she couldn't have a life while working for him. So Capricorn Clark, a former assistant to Seann Diddy Combs, recounted the time she was at Combs' Miami home in the summer of 2006. She said when she arrived, Combs told her, "I don't care what goes on this weekend, you are not to leave this house." Wow. Combs later directed Clark to escort a guest to another location in Miami. She said she stayed for about an hour before receiving a call from Combs asking where she was. Clark said when she returned to Combs' home, he told her, "See, your problem is you want a life and you can't have that here." And again told her not to leave the house. The following day, Clark said she told Combs' chef, "I hate it here." And the chef relayed that to Combs. Wow. So he got it's like a cult. He got that snitch culture going on. Please thumbs up the video, Naughty Crew. Thumbs up the video. Share this live out. Hey, Kim. Hey, Lataya. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Ooh. So then she quotes, "He immediately looked at me and said, 'You hate it here?' And he charged me." Clark testified. Wow. She said Combs began pushing her and demanding she get out of his house. Clark said Combs pushed her about 30 yards, using about 75% of his force, she said. Eventually, one of Combs' security guards intervened by telling Combs to stop and telling Clark to um, go pack her belongings. Clark testified she left her job after this incident because it was crossing my boundaries. So she then came on to return to Combs in a new role after 2006 incident. "I didn't want that close proximity." So Capricorn Clark, a former employee of Seann Diddy Combs, said she returned to work for hip hop mogul after 2006 incident at his Miami home, but not directly under him. Clark testified that she accepted the director of marketing position for Sean John Women's line because she didn't have to work directly with him. She said, "I didn't want that close proximity in his personal orbit like that." He still runs the company. So Combs had final say over Ventura's appearance, ex-employee says. Okay, so this is speaking to the amount of control Diddy had over Cassie. Please thumbs up the video. So in 2011, Capricorn Clark, a former employee of Seann Diddy Combs, was also managing Cassie Ventura and her creative director. Clark says Combs had final approval over everything, including Ventura's physical appearance and every opportunity Ventura could or couldn't take. So that shows how much control he had over her career. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why it was hard for her to leave. I'm speaking to Cassie. I'm speaking about Cassie. So Capricorn Clark testified that Seann Diddy Combs' fashion company had started, she started testifying about Cassie Ventura dating the rapper Kid Cudi in December of 2011. Clark Ventura and Kid Cudi sometimes would hang out, she said. One time, Ventura texted her asking if they could pick up Kid Cudi, and Clark told Ventura to delete the text because Combs paid for both of their phones, Clark testified. So Clark said she was very concerned about Combs finding out about that relationship between Ventura and Kid Cudi. So this kind of, now Kid Cudi said he felt like Cassie was two-timing him. This is telling me he was aware of a possible relationship with Diddy and Cassie. He knew she was sneaking around, because why would he want her to delete those text messages? Good point right there. Thumbs up the video. So Clark said she was very concerned about Combs finding out about the relationship between Ventura and Kid Cudi. And Clark then told Ventura to buy a burner phone from Best Buy. Remember, Ventura dated Combs from around 2007 to 2018. Kid Cudi testified last week that when he dated Ventura in December of 2011, he believed at the time. He believed at the time that Ventura was not romantically involved with Combs anymore. So, but if that was the case, why delete the messages? Yeah, I hope she has a safe delivery. So Capricorn Clark's voice has been quivering through much of her testimony. That speaks to how much terror and fear he instilled in her. My cousin is crazy. So Clark, a former employee of Sean Diddy Combs, has been describing what it was like to work for the former rapper. Please thumbs up the video. Yes. So one day in December of 2011, Diddy showed up to Capricorn Clark's home banging on her door. According to Clark, she could see through the peephole that Combs' pants were split up the inseam from the knee upward, exposing his underwear. When she opened the door, Clark saw that he was holding a GUN and was furious. Combs, entering her home, said, "Why didn't you tell me?" and asked her about Kid Cudi. Clark testified that Combs, still holding the GUN, told her, "Get dressed. We gonna go kill him." When she tried to protest, Combs said, "I don't give a F what you want to do. Go get dressed." Okay? Clark said she was afraid, of course. And this was the first time Combs had been to her home in Los Angeles. Clark said Combs was livid, furious, mad at me. I had never seen him with a weapon. I had never seen him making me do something like this, she said. Wow, this is force. This is kidnapping, okay? Yeah, she shook things up today for sure. So Capricorn Clark is giving more details about what happened after Sean Diddy Combs showed up to her home in December of 2011. She said she and Combs got into the backseat of a car that one of his security guards was driving. Their GUN was in Combs' lap, Clark testified. They drove to Kid Cudi's house where Combs and a security guard entered the home, Clark said. Clark said she stayed in the car and called Cassie Ventura, Combs' former girlfriend, who was dating Kid Cudi at the time, on a burner phone. She testified that she told Ventura that Combs had come to her house with a GUN and then gone to Kid Cudi's house to kill him. She said she then charged Ventura contact name, or change Ventura's contact name in her phone to the name Stormy so Combs wouldn't know she called Ventura. Clark says she could hear someone yelling, "He's in my house." Remember, Kid Cudi said that in his testimony in the background when they were on the phone. And Ventura told her she was with Kid Cudi. So Capricorn warned Cassie Ventura and Kid Cudi shouldn't face off against Combs. Clark testifies she told Ventura, Cassie, stop him. He's going to come get himself, Killed. Ventura said she couldn't stop him. Clark testified she understood Kid Cudi was on his way to the house. When Combs got back in the car, he asked who Clark had been talking to. He called Ventura's burner phone, which was the last record of Clark's call log. Combs, furious, said, Itch, what the F is this number? A short time later, Kid Cudi pulled up next to Combs' Escalade outside of his home and then accelerated away from Combs' vehicle, followed in pursuit. It felt like forever, but couldn't have been longer than a minute, Clark testified. So there was a chase between Kid Cudi and Diddy. Right, he abused everybody. Please thumbs up the video, guys. So Combs threatened to red rum if police were told about Combs' break-in involvement, Clark says. So former Diddy employee testified about what happened directly after the episode in which she says Combs and the security guard were at Kid Cudi's home in 2011. Clark, Combs, and his security guard went to a nearby nightclub, she said. Combs directed Clark to call Cassie Ventura and tell her that he has me and he's not going to let me go until I come get her. Kidnapping. On the phone, Ventura responded that Clark should come get her. Combs then said, and Ventura needed to convince Kid Cudi to not tell police that Combs was involved in the break-in at Kid Cudi's home. So if there was any doubt that this happened, it happened. He broke into his house. He blew up the car. So Combs then told her, if you guys don't convince him of that, I'll KILL all of you. More threats. More threats. More threats. Okay. So once they got with Cassie, Capricorn Clark allegedly broke into Capricorn Clark said after Sean Diddy Combs allegedly broke into Kid Cudi's home, she approached Cassie Ventura, who is still with Kid Cudi. Clark told them, if you tell on him, he's going to hurt us all. So according to Clark, Ventura responded by asking her, do you really think he will? Cassie girl. So then Clark said Ventura then went with Clark to Combs' Los Angeles rental home, Combs in a robe and underwear, and immediately began kicking Cassie. Clark said she and security guards stood by as Combs repeatedly kicked Cassie. Clark said Combs threatened to hurt her too, and if she tried to stop him from hurting Ventura. So this kind of corroborates what Dawn Rashad testimony was when she said that anytime she tried to intervene to help Cassie, Diddy would threaten. Okay, her. Clark said she left after the security guard told her to leave, and Ventura was still on the ground while Combs continued to kick her. Clark said that she called Ventura's mom, Regina Ventura, and she left the property. She said, please help her. I can't call the police, but you can. Clark, so she had Cassie's mom call the police. Good for her. To me, Capricorn Clark is the only one that really tried to get Cassie some help. To me, out of everybody, these punk ass security guards, out of everybody, to me, she was the only one that really tried to help Cassie. Let's get back into it. Please thumbs up the video. So then at this point, the jury is shown Ventura's 2011 email detailing Combs' threats. So the jury again saw the email Cassie Ventura sent Capricorn Clark and her mother on December 23rd of 2011 under the alias Veronica Bang, referencing the threats from Seann Diddy Combs to Ventura and Kid Cudi. Clark testified she can't remember if she responded to the email or not. So Capricorn said an arson investigator reached out to her in 2012 asking her to make a statement about an arson incident involving Kid Cudi's vehicle. Clark said she hung up the phone and did not provide a statement. I wanted this whole thing to be over, and I'm sure she was terrified, okay? Clark added that she never discussed an arson incident involving Cudi with Combs. She also testified, she said, just to remember, Cudi testified last week that one morning in January of 2012, his dog watcher called him from his home to tell him that his car was on fire. And looking at photos, Cudi explained that it looked like the top of his Porsche was cut open, and that's where the Molotov cocktail was put into the car, causing further damage. So after the event of late of 2011, Seann Diddy Combs would angrily ask Capricorn Clark why she didn't tell him about Cassie Ventura's brief relationship with Kid Cudi. Clark testified. One time Combs told her, I should KILLU itches and I should cut her face. Oh my gosh. Clark estimated Combs threatened her about 50 times between December 2011 and the following summer. So the threats kept coming. And he has a history of this, especially once you sue him and he has to pay you. He continues to harass. We heard that with Jonathan Oddie. We heard that with Natanya Rubin. And now we're hearing it from Capricorn Clark. Yes, please hit the like button. Right. People have been reporting for a while. Yes. Thank you for your comments, Hel. She said this is all new information. People have been reporting for a while that if Capricorn got on the stand, she'll take the diddler down. And it looks like she's going to do a better job than Cassie. I'm telling you, she was emotional on the stand. You could tell she was scared. Yes. Please hit that like button. Yes, grown woman. He really thought he was a powerful gangster, and I hope he goes to jail immediately. No further need for this trial. Child. Yes, and I put the link, I pinned the link at the top just in case anybody wants to come up and sound off. You're more than welcome. All right. So after the December 2011 incident, Seann Diddy Combs told Capricorn Clark she couldn't be friends with Cassie Ventura. They could only see each other for work. Clark testified that her relationship with Ventura changed after that. Clark also said that in early 2012, she informed someone in human resources in Harpier that the former president of Bad Boy Records about the kidnapping incident and how Combs wanted to KILL Kid Cudi and beat Ventura. Pierre just told her, that's crazy, but it's going to be okay. It just goes to show how, the patriarchy sticks together. So Capricorn Clark said she was fired in August of 2012. She said she was still being sent work while she was on vacation. So she told an HR employee that Seann Diddy Combs was mad at her because she didn't tell him his girlfriend was cheating on him. She was terminated shortly after, she said, and accused of improperly taking vacation. This sounds familiar. This sounds just the same situation that happened with the babysitter. He's a creature of habit, that's for sure. So later Tuesday, under cross-examination, Clark testified that she had been with Rihanna on that vacation. So Capricorn Clark said after she was terminated, Combs told her that I would never work again, that he would show me that all these people weren't my friends and that he would make me KILL myself. Clark testified that she received a settlement through Combs' attorney over wrongful termination allegations in the fall of 2012. She did not disclose the amount on the stand. So, though she was fired in 2012, Capricorn Clark returned to work for Diddy as Cassie Ventura's creative director in 2016. Clark hadn't been able to find other work. That's key. And she wanted to try to get her life back, Clark testified. Clark reported to Combs and he approved all of Ventura's projects, Clark said. Clark testified she noticed an increase in Ventura's drug use during this time. Clark left the position in 2018, and that was the last time she worked for Ventura, she testified. Yeah, Harvey Pierre was named in a civil lawsuit for grape. The first Jane Doe that came out of Detroit. Remember, he flew her on a plane to New York, and then she was serial raped the whole time. That's the Dolce and Gabbana girl. Yep. Yeah, she returned because she could not get any work. He blacklisted her. She had no other choice. That's Stockholm Syndrome. Even his employees have Stockholm Syndrome. All right. So legal experts are saying that the prosecution needs to bring more witnesses to the stand to reinforce racketeering charges. And to me, I think they brought a lot of credible witnesses to speak to the racketeering. Number one, the first security guard from the Intercontinental Hotel where Diddy offered him money, hush money, okay? That's bribery. What about Cassie's mom's testimony where he threatened to drop a sex tape and make it public if they didn't pay him $20,000, even though it was later returned. It's the act, okay? The act of. Right. So Capricorn Clark testified that she retained attorneys in 2023 after Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against Combs. The lawsuit traumatized Clark, she said. Clark met with attorneys for Combs in April of 2024, and they spoke about the possibility of her working for one of Combs' companies again. She said she wanted her life back. Clark never heard from Combs' attorney after that. Clark testified, and that was all just bait to get her, so that because they brought that up this afternoon, like, didn't you ask to become the chief, one of the COO of Bad Boy Entertainment? And so she kind of went around that question, like, it was discussed, but that's not necessarily what I wanted. And I think they called that meeting to trap her for this moment right here. And then she testified that she hasn't spoke to Cassie since 2018. Then they took a break. And here's what it was like inside the courtroom. So Seann Diddy Combs' mother and sister are inside the courtroom today after court recess for a short break. Combs' mother kissed defense lawyer Nicole Westmoreland on the cheek. Combs' sister Keisha, who has been a constant presence at the trial, is also present today. None of Combs' children are in the courtroom. Combs' mother was overheard saying she attended her granddaughter's graduation and prom, and during Capricorn Clark's emotional testimony, she often patted her eyes with a tissue. She seemed to avert her eyes from Combs, but as she was leaving the courtroom during the break, she looked over towards his direction, clenched her jaws and nodded. So this is when the jury was dismissed for lunch. So here's some of the highlights. She was threatened on the first day of work due to her association with working for rival Suge Knight. She talked about lie detector tests, her being taken from her home. She got a lie detector test administered 5 days in a row. Crossing boundaries. She talked about how she hated her employment. Then she talked about her relationship with Cassie Ventura. And it was mainly, from what I got out of it, work related. When she started dating Kid Cudi, I think Cassie was using Capricorn Clark as an alibi. So, three former Combs assistants have taken a stand. So far, here's what they have said. Sean Diddy Combs' federal criminal trial began earlier this month. Three of the music mogul's former assistants have been called to testify about their experience working for him, with the patterns starting to emerge. On the stand today, Capricorn Clark, former assistant to Combs. All right, this is just repetitive. Let me see. And James was an assistant for Combs from 2007 to 2009 and worked for Combs during the early part of his relationship with Ventura. He testified he did not personally observe physical violence between the two, but the other one did. All right, and this is when I came in, when Mark Agnafilio started his cross examination. You see what y'all saying. Yeah, I'm so sick of them saying they don't see Rico. It was a young man out there hollering and screaming and said, "Oh, Diddy didn't do the trafficking." And I said, "Sir," he was like, he ain't forced nobody. They was living a swingers lifestyle. I was like, sir, what about the prostitutes that were transported across state lines? Prostitution is illegal. He refused to acknowledge the facts. And Gene Dill, we were in line waiting to go through security in the courthouse, and Gene Dill was right in front of me, and he like ran down his credentials, like saying, I used to be a parole officer, and he was like, being forced into the situation is not a part of the trafficking, and it's not. And this dude could not understand it. They had made us put our phones away at that point. I wish I would have got it on recording, but meantime, when we were outside, people were riding up the street saying Diddy is a rapist, and everybody knows it. Thumbs up the video. Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much. Okay. So the defense confirms meeting with Clark about possible return to Combs' team. So defense Mark Adam Phillip began confirming that Capricorn Clark, a former employee, that they have met. Okay. Agnophilia and Teeny Garagos and another attorney for Sean Combs, Jonathan Davis, met with Clark, who brought an attorney and a friend with her on April 10th of 2024. Agnophilia asked Clark to confirm that she told the lawyers at the meeting that Combs wouldn't be in this mess if he had kept her around. She acknowledged she probably said something like that as they discussed the possibility of her returning to work for him as his chief of staff. She also told the lawyer at the meeting that Cassie Ventura wasn't good for Combs. The attorney who accompanied Clark to the meeting was Brian Friedman, the well-known entertainment lawyer representing Justin Baldoni in the ongoing litigation with Blake Lively. Returning to that meeting in April of 2024, Agnophilia suggested that she was told it would be impossible to hire her amid the ongoing criminal investigation into Combs. And she said she didn't remember that being said. So Capricorn Clark testified that she met Combs around 2002 through a mutual friend shortly after she moved to New York City. She said her relationship with Combs was 1,000% platonic. So anybody trying to spin a story saying that she wanted to sleep with Diddy, this is not true. Clark said Combs took ecstasy in the early stages of their friendship and his drug use increased over time. All right, I'm gonna pause here because it looks like we have a guest. I'm gonna let you up, and I just really want to hear your perspective. Hi, Dustin. Welcome.
How you doing? How you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing well.
What are your thoughts right now on the trial? Do you feel like the prosecution is doing a good job of building their case, or do you feel like it's in favor of the defense right now?
I'm kind of split between the middle of it all.
And that's the consensus I'm getting outside of the courtroom too. That's the consensus I got today. I'm getting a lot of mixed messaging, but one thing I just don't understand is how people don't see that there's racketeering and that the prostitution is a part of the trafficking charge. What do you think?
I agree, 110%. I agree that I agree that the prosecution is a part of this situation. I think they're making it worse situation for themselves, and I think it's making it worse to the public. And I think like I said, I think it's 50-50, half and half right now. I'm stuck between the middle of it all, and today this shows more of it to me. This shows more confusing to me than I was last week. So honestly, I think that Diddy, Sean Combs, I think that he's guilty. I think that he's guilty to a certain degree, but we'll have to wait and see what the rest of the week brings. But right now, it's very confusing to me as well.
Really interesting, but I think a lot of people are thinking like you, that like they're split because of who he is.
Right, I'm split between split between the middle of it all. Hmm.
Right, right. All right. We got another guest, Dustin. Hey, Kim.
Hey,
Hey
hey,
Kim,
hey, hey. Hi,
hey Kim,
Dustin.
hi Kim.
How you doing?
I'm confused right now. I'm confused between the middle of it all.
What are
But
your
I'm
thoughts, Kim?
go ahead.
Well, my thoughts are he going down. Okay, that's the first thing. He going down. I don't know what he going down on or how many counts he going down, but he gonna get a little bit of time. Okay, that's for sure. I know that a lot of people say that the RICO is not necessarily apparent, but I think that a lot of times people are looking for things just to be a slam dunk, like boom, it's in there. Well, first of all, Diddy's been doing this for a very, very long time. His behavior has been going on for a long time. So sometimes when you're building a case, it's like building a house. So first you got to lay down that concrete, get that foundation together. Then you got to frame it out. Then you put up your drywall, your bricks, and you move all the furniture in, and then you got a home. It's all tied, locked up, nice and tight. All you got to do is turn the key, like they're gonna turn the key on the sale on his 8 double double. Okay.
Right.
Right.
So I think that they're building it, and you have to wait till it plays out. This case, they say, is going to last 8 weeks. So I don't believe that everything is going to be clear and parent and a knocked out, and a flat out RICO in the beginning. Although with the kidnapping, the rape, and the transporting people over state lines, the commingling of funds, the extortion. There's a lot of different things that are coming into play at the very beginning that indicate the RICO.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
I
think a
just
lot of people don't look at it. They just wanted to be flat out, boom, here's the RICO. We see it. But they're webbing, they're weaving this web together.
Right.
mm,
And I just really feel like they're showing a lot of examples of where he used his business entity, Bad Boy,
Mm-hmm.
to fund a lot of these crimes.
Yes.
right. And I just want to say, if I can, not elaborate, I just want to say that I feel bad for the victims. Uh, I feel terrible for the victims because their life has changed for the rest of their life, and I know that it's not a good thing to feel, not a good thing to be in this situation. And I do feel bad for his victims. I feel bad for them more than I do the victim than I do him.
Right.
He's gonna deserve time and deserve a long time in prison. And I do believe he's guilty. I was gonna say that I do believe he's guilty, but I think I feel bad more for the victim than I do him. Mhm.
Understood. Understood. Right. But I really, really, guys, I was in that courtroom today. One of the things that stood out to me is how once she left Diddy, how he blacklisted her. She mentioned she applied for a job after Chris Lighty passed away. And it was at Interscope Records where
Mhm.
Jimmy Iovine was running it at the time. And here it is. She thought she was going in an interview, and Jimmy Iovine was like, "Leave Diddy alone." That's what the whole meeting was for. So everywhere
Right.
she turned to try to gain employment elsewhere, she was blocked. He left her destitute, and all she wanted to do was work in her field.
I feel like that I feel like she was stuck in the. I feel like she couldn't do that now because I feel like she's forever gonna her life is forever gonna be changed because of him, and I
Well,
feel
he's an
like
egomaniacal monster. So that's the first thing, okay?
he's
And
what
he
now?
thrives an egomaniacal monster. He
Right,
thrives on his power, his influence, and his reach. And because he has money, power, and influence, his reach is very far.
Right.
Okay.
right,
So, and then he's connected. And then you got all those Hollywood types that are kind of all intertwined in that same um macabre behavior and violent behavior because we've seen so many of them. So they're probably in on it too. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is that he was going to do that to somebody because for some reason he likes to inflict pain and torture people. Okay.
right.
Right, right. Please thumbs up the video. And can I tell you, because the I came in when the defense was cross-examining Capricorn, and prosecution did do a good job of redirecting, but then the defense came back
Mm-hmm.
and they asked Capricorn, they said, "Did you ever try to encourage Cassie to leave the relationship?" And she said, "Yes, I did." She said, "I had a conversation with her, like, you need to date other people. You need to leave the situation. It's very dangerous." And Cassie responded, "Who else am I going to date? Jay-Z is taken." So y'all let me know what y'all take away from that. To me, it's just a woman. She's dating at a certain level now, right?
Hmm. Right.
Well,
So
Eh,
it's not only that she's dating at a certain level. We all know people who have said that, and they on the same kind of level we are. But what it is that they're just not facing what they have to face. So like somebody said, well, who else would I marry? Who else would I go with? Because I got all these kids.
mhm,
It's always a reason. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I had somebody else I knew, and they had an abusive situation like that, and they were like, "Oh." Well, who else am I going to go with? Because he's just sick and he's got all these disease and everything that's getting to him. And then that just stresses him out. And that's why he does that. It's just an excuse that people that are abused a lot of times do that. So I get what she's saying about what she said and who she said it about. But I'm just saying that a lot of times they just use that as a scapegoat because
Right.
they're too scared or they don't want to start over. You know what I mean?
Right. What do you think,
Right.
Dustin?
I think it's sometimes I think it's too late for people to start over. You know, I think that they get used to they get used to being around certain people, and they get used to you living that life. And I think sometimes that people are scared to start over their life at their certain ages, and I think they're scared to start over because they get used to certain what get used to things being a certain way, and they don't want to change. Sometimes they don't want. Sometimes it's hard for them to change it.
That's right. And that's what I was saying.
I want to drive home this point too. One thing I did recognize about Capricorn Clark, which I feel like Diddy saw an opportunity to pounce, is the fact that she was 17 and she lost both her parents. So she was
Uh,
forced to be an adult
can
without
I?
guidance of her parents, right? And I
Right.
think Diddy had knowledge of this and he knew that she didn't have anyone else. Dustin, you have more thoughts?
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
How long is she going to be on the stand for? Just today? Is she going to be on the stand for the rest of the week?
No, they wrapped her up
Yep.
today.
Okay. Thank you.
They wrapped
Thank
her
you.
up today.
So who's going to be on the stand tomorrow? Do you know?
I left the courtroom before that, but they're saying that the prosecution has four witnesses lined up for tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you are right. But most of the time when these predators get somebody, they always try to find somebody who's got a nick in their armor. Let's put it like that. You know,
Right.
with low self esteem, they don't lost
Uh,
anybody. They feel they lonesome and all here out the world, and out in the world by themselves. And here he come being their savior, at least they think in the beginning,
right.
until he show his ugly side. You know.
Yeah, yeah, but they say that they don't show who they really are in the beginning. It takes a while to show who they really are.
But I'm
And
gonna tell you this though. This is what I'm just gonna say. Now I know I ain't in the same class, but how can I say this? When Cassie was 19, and I know that what you did was talking to her, and I'm not trying to victim shame or nothing else. I'm just trying to say this for young women or anybody. Okay, sometimes
right,
people out of your league, and you need to leave them alone. Okay,
Right.
I
because
agree.
I have had men try to date me, and I knew the date was way too much for me, and I was like, "Oh no, I ain't gonna get trapped up out here, or be out here trying to be, I'm trying to sit up here and catch up with, keep up with somebody else, and the next thing I know, I'm trapped out, And like my mother told me one time, when I wanted to go and be a barmaid at this bar, and I was young. She told me to go get a job. So that's why I went to go get a job at. So when I came home, I told her I got a job. She was like, "No, you're not working there." I said, "Yes, I am. You told me to get a job, and that's what I'm going to do." She said, "Listen, it ain't nothing but pimps, gangsters, and shysters out there." She said, "The only thing you going to do at your young, tender age is be on somebody's next corner. You're not working there."
Right. Right. But you see how you had your
And I
parents
and
to
I think
guide you.
and I'm glad you had your parents to protect you through that because
Yes, and give you that kind of sense. But that's what I'm to the point I'm trying to make. So a lot of times you think you can roll with these people and everything, but what happens is that you get rolled over.
right.
Exactly. So I just want to Mark Amnificlo, he's the attorney for the defense, Sean Diddy Combs. He brought up some text messages between Combs and Capricorn Clark in 2021, admitting to a past crush. So Clark testified she texted Combs in June of 2021. "Did you ever know that I had the biggest crush on you before I started to work for you?" She said, "We hung out all the time. I played it super cool." She said, "I don't think you knew. I just knew for sure that you like to have me around." Clark testified she doesn't remember saying this to Combs, but recalled reaching out to him in 2021. It's unclear how Combs responded to the text. So the defense is trying any and everything at this point. Now they're trying to make it, put the impression on like she was crushing on him, like the rest of these girls out here, all these groupies and stuff. But let me tell you something. Diddy ain't all that cute, okay? It takes a lot to be attracted to him. What do you, Kim? I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. And one of the other things I want to say, Juby Buggin said something in the comments, and he said, well, how he can make that he not only did this to women, but he did it to men too, because he likes to exercise his power and basically, make people bend to his will.
Right.
So,
I agree.
and she's just like Juby Buggin said, he's a master manipulator.
Right. What are your thoughts, Dustin, on that? Do you think he had a crush, or do you think that the defense just fabricated that just to throw a monkey wrench in it?
I think the defense fabricated it to a certain degree
because they couldn't corroborate it, right?
I think the defense had to throw a wrench in it somehow, and I think that I'm leaning on the defense a lot with this part here. I think that the defense, the courtroom, the defense, it really. I don't think he had a crush on her. I don't think he did, but maybe he did. But I don't think he did, but I think that they just had to throw a wrench in there in the middle of there. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, to create reasonable doubt. All right. So she also gave some testimony describing the relationship between her and Cassie. So she testified she and Cassie Ventura started to develop some issues around 2008. Capricorn said it. She got a little bit more bravado as being his girlfriend the longer it lasted. She went from being more of a sweet model to a feisty girlfriend. So then Mark Agnafilla asked Clark if she thought Ventura was very talented. She said, I think she had talent. She testified that Ventura's live performances were not great. Okay, so this is where I'm trying to create this narrative again that Cassie did not have any talent, because they're trying to drive home the idea like Diddy shelved her projects. That's why she didn't fulfill the 10-album contract deal, right? So she testified.
I think Diddy had a lot to do with that. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
She also testified that Ventura's live performances weren't great, and when she returned to work for Ventura in 2016, Clark said her drug use was preventing her from the opportunities that were before us. And it's just like, why was Cassie strung out? I mean, I think she was trying to numb her thoughts from being forced to sleep with people she didn't know.
Right. And I agree. I totally agree with you.
All right. So
because I think she was being forced in the whole situation. I think she was forced by him to do it.
Right. So Capricorn testified. She said Cassie had access to top tier industry professionals that create stars, including producers, choreographers, stylists. His former employee Capricorn Clark testified under cross examination. Victoria had more attention and resources than other artists signed with Bad Boy, especially at the beginning of her career between 2007 and 2012. So she quote, from my point of view, the lion's share of Bad Boys was on Cassie in the first block of time, Clark said, referring to a time period between 2007 and 2010.
Right.
All right. So let me see. So Ventura continued receiving support from Combs even as focus shifted to new artists, ex-employee says. New artists like Machine Gun Kelly, French Montana were getting a lot of attention at Bad Boy. I remember that era. Clark said even though Combs took a step back, because eventually he started to take a step back from supporting her. And she also
I remember that part.
Yeah, she also testified that that a lot of times Diddy, like if him and Cassie were in arguments or lovers quarrels, he would stop her from doing certain jobs. He would just block it. And that just made me think of a situation when the show Empire was on TV. Diddy felt like Empire was too close to his life. And he was demanding that Lee Daniels stop the production, and Lee Daniels wanted to hire Quincy ultimately, but Diddy wouldn't have it. So another example of where the diddler is stopping people's careers.
I got a question.
Uh-huh.
You know, he might have been stopping people's careers or whatever, but has he ever really? Is there ever been one artist that actually made it up under him?
112.
I I never heard of them.
Cupid.
I don't remember that, but thank you for saying that, Naughty Lou.
Oh well, they must have been. They weren't. It wasn't like Jay-Z and like he got Rihanna and there's somebody else that he got and other people. You know, has brought other artists out here. I'm just saying that he ain't really cultivate nobody.
To be quite honest, he knows how to produce music, right? Where he could sample different things and put them together. Now, as far as anything else, a lot of his artists are one-hit wonders. I mean,
Yeah,
he cut Danity Kane at the peak of their career.
sure did.
I remember that.
Even Day 26. Those boys can sing. You know what I mean? He
And
cut.
Diddy is not really an artist his own stuff. He always just be on somebody else's stuff.
But it really speaks to he doesn't want anyone to outshine him.
Right.
But he needs all these other artists because they are the talent. He doesn't have the talent.
Mm-mm.
Just like he was jealous of Tupac and just like he was jealous of Biggie.
And it said the same thing about Heavy D, because they said that he had a little bit involvement up in there too.
Yes. I mean, he's a jealous man.
Because Heavy D was getting ready to get hot. He was already hot in my mind. I loved Heavy D.
I love Heavy D too. All right.
Mm.
All right. So Clark says Ventura was forced to dye her hair. So Capricorn Clark worked with Sean Diddy Combs again as creative director for Cassie Ventura in 2016. Clark helped create a new look for Ventura to show off at the MTV Video Music Awards that year that required Ventura to dye her hair neon yellow. Defense attorney Mark Agnefilia asked Clark to confirm Ventura was on board with the look, and they did show this picture as an exhibit. Clark testified that she presented the idea to Ventura, who liked it, before telling Combs about it. The defense attorney explicitly asked Clark to confirm that Ventura wasn't forced against her will to dye her hair, which Clark did. All right, so this is one incident where Cassie's choice prevailed over Diddy, right? They're going to have to show a lot more examples than that.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is that?
All right, so then she learned of Cassie and Kid Cudi's relationship in late of 2011. This is all like repetitive. Then they were trying to debunk a lot of past statements. So Clark denies telling Homeland Security agent that Guard was with Combs during alleged 2011 kidnapping. So this is speaking to the security at the building she was living in. Okay. Now Diddy came in and strong armed him. Remember, he had a GUN, right? So after she went back home, after everything happened, she reported it to the head of security at the building. And the head of security told her that guy was fired. And he had only been working there for a short time. Again, speaking to the influence, the power, the fear that he inflicted in people on a regular basis. Got that man fired from his job.
And that's sad. That is sad to me. Because a lot of people will be affected for the long haul from that.
So then the defense tried to say that she voluntarily went to Kid Cudi house with Diddy. And how they tried to do this, is playing with the GUN, right? Mark Agnafilo is like, well, did he point the GUN at you? And so Capricorn was like, well, no, he was waving it all around. It was always present, but he kept repeating, well, did he point it at you? I mean, does it make it any less intimidating whether he's pointing it or waving it? Waving it, I'm like scared you're gonna drop it and it's gonna go off. It's nuts. It is nuts. So she did testify she's unsure how Combs and security entered Kid Cudi's property. Defense attorney Mark Agnafilo questioned her. And Clark testified that she wasn't sure because their backs were to her and she wasn't paying close attention to what they were doing. I was praying that Cudi wasn't inside. And to me, Capricorn is the only one that tried to help Cassie. She intervened when she found out they were going after Kid Cudi. She's the only one that had action. She's the only one that had balls, which speaks to me why she was blacklisted. Because you're not gonna overpower me. I'm king. All right. And so then she speaks to warning Kid Cudi and Cassie about Diddy going in his house and things like that. And that's when she corroborated. She heard Kid Cudi in the background like, they at my house. This is where they try to trip her up because she also mentioned that she called Lauren London first. She said it was like a 30-second call. She broke down on the stand at this point, and she said she just wanted someone to know where she was so she can have a witness just in case something happened. And then she went on to call Kid Cudi and Cassie. But how did the defense try to trip her up? Was it a 3-way call or did you call direct and this and that? And she got a little confused or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's 2 more witnesses. I mean, I'm compelled that Lauren London would be called to testify at this point.
I think she will be called to testify. In my opinion, she has to be called to testify too, in order because
but the defense made sure they drove home the point after the kidnapping incident. And you spoke with Lauren London. Did Diddy and Lauren London remain friends? And she said yes, they are still friends as far as she knows.
Even after all this, she's still friends.
Yeah, because I mean, did he have a hand in Nipsey Hussle, her ex-husband, her widowed husband? Like, come on, y'all. Remember, he ended up executive producer on Nipsey Hussle's album, and all of a sudden, Nipsey Hussle is G-U'd in down in the middle of the street. Like, what was the motive there?
Yeah, there was a motive there. Was there one?
Exactly. So this part is when she spoke about Lauren London. This is when she Combs used Clark's phone to call Ventura before chasing Kid Cudi. So we know about that. A lot of the defense was repetitive of this morning. That's why I'm not getting into a lot of it, but this one was interesting. Clark testified she pleaded for Combs' forgiveness after firing. So Capricorn Clark broke into sobs, and she did. And she looked at emails she sent Combs in 2014 and 2015 asking him to forgive her. She testified earlier in the day that although she was officially fired in 2012 over a vacation she took because he tried to say that the vacation was unauthorized. She believed Combs actually fired her because he was upset about her knowledge of Cassie Ventura's relationship with Kid Cudi. And it's like the nerve of him. Like, why would she be obligated to tell him anything about that's his personal life? She's only there to work from him on a professional capacity.
Yeah.
It goes to show how the lines are blurred between employer and employee. All right. She said she felt like she was a protector for Combs, and he didn't have anyone looking out for him without her on staff. That email is me pleading, like, dude, let it go, she said. Clark through tears, said she was hurt because she believed at the time that Ventura wanted her fired. It also bothered her, Clark said, that she believed Combs only hired her again in 2016 because Ventura wanted to work with her.
Right.
All right, so at this point, that's when the defense wrapped their cross-examination. So then she testifies about difficulties finding other jobs after 2012 firing. So under redirect examination from Seann Diddy Combs, Capricorn Clark, the settlement she reached with Combs after her 2012 firing required mutual non-disparagement, and that Combs signed a letter of recommendation for Clark. Combs never signed the recommendation letter, she testified. Clark couldn't get a job in the industry after that, she said. She also said that in a meeting that she thought was about a possible employment with executives from Interscope Records, they told her to leave Combs alone. That's Jimmy Iovine. And it wouldn't end well for her. And then Judge Submarinian struck that part of the testimony from the record after sustaining on defense objection, but the jury already heard it. All right. So Clark testified that she continued to look for work through 2015, but wasn't able to find a new job in the industry because she was blacklisted. And then the judge sustained another defense objection to her response. But once again, the jury heard that again. All right. She said she wasn't able to find steady work in the entertainment industry. So she started consulting. At this level of business, he all power as it's related to me. So remember, Clark testified earlier today that she returned to work for Combs in 2016 as Cassie Ventura creative director after not finding other employment. So if you're wondering why she went back, she couldn't work. So this is Capricorn Clark leaving the courtroom. And then the defense or the prosecutor, this is how they ended today. Capricorn Clark testified that when she worked for Cassie Ventura, Combs was required to approve all of her looks, each of her songs, every event she went to, and she said Combs would withdraw his support when the couple was fighting. So I felt like this was a strong way to end the day. I felt like this was a strong way for the prosecution to wrap up the day. The prosecution plans to call 4 more witnesses tomorrow. Prosecutors said they plan to call 4 witnesses tomorrow. A Los Angeles Police Department officer. This is going to be good. Because remember, Kid Cudi called the police.
Are you gonna be live tomorrow? About recapping
I'm
this?
not going to be at the courthouse, but I'll be covering the trial for sure. I'll be going live and covering the trial.
All right, I'll be here tomorrow again.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for participating, Dustin. A Los Angeles Fire Department investigators due to testify, and Deontay Nash, and a woman called Mia, who is one of Seann Diddy Combs' former assistants and alleged victim. Woo! So victim number 2 is set to testify tomorrow. I had nothing to eat all day.
And I'm excited for that. I'm very excited for tomorrow.
I am too. I am too. Okay, so there you have it. That's tomorrow's lineup. And I think this was a great day of testimony from Capricorn Clark. Shout out to her for being brave and coming out. Hey, AT2, for coming out. I think her testimony was very compelling. And I feel like the defense has a job to do. I'm interested to see. If I could take off another day, I will, to go cover the trial live. So, any final thoughts about the testimony today, Dustin?
No, I just want to see what tomorrow brings because it's very interesting, but I think it's very sad that she got blacklisted because of him.
Right. All for not getting in his business. But if she did go to him, would he be like, mind your business like he told other people?
and it's not fair to. It's not fair to. It's not for. It's not pay. It's not fair for her to pay his consequences because he's the one that did it. So, and she's the one being affected by it because of him, and that's not fair to me. That's just how I feel. So I don't feel like it's fair for her to be paying the consequences for something he did to her.
All right. Now, as far as his daughters, I have some shout out to Chantel for sending me this footage. His daughter, Chance, who is like the triplet to the twins, okay, because their mamas was pregnant at the same time. She is coming out and speaking. This is her on the screen. I'm trying to give shout out to Nikki News for this footage. Let's hear what she has to say.
Father, it's the most disgraceful thing in my life. My sisters and I left the courthouse just 5 minutes after the trial began. They already believe their mother, Kim Porter's death is inseparable from him. My father is so vicious. When I saw the video of him beating Cassie Ventura, I was so scared that I almost cried. He was so considerate in front of me, but he treated Cassie Ventura like an animal and abused her wantonly. And she is not even the only victim. My sisters and I held back our tears and walked out of the courtroom, only able to remain silent when facing reporters who asked sharp questions. My sisters and I can no longer believe he is innocent. Even if he quibbles, he is no longer the loving father in my heart. This appearance at the trial was just a last resort because I can't give up my current affluent life. But he has ruined my life. My acting and modeling career will definitely be ruined because of his reputation. Now I just want to take my mother's last name. I don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. Diddy is my father. It's the most disgraceful.
All right. Okay. I expected this because to me, as a child, how could you not think that your mother went through those same abuses? Let's welcome Tails to the stage. Hey, Tails. Tails.
Hi, Tails.
I think something's going
But
on with
welcome to the stage, Tails.
Tails, drop down and come back. I think it's something going on with your connection. So, as his children, how could you not, if he's treating Cassie like this, how could you not think that he's treated your mom like this? What are your thoughts? Anyone can go first.
I think at the situation is very eye opening. I think that if he could treat your mom like this, he could treat anybody else like this as well.
Right.
So I think that everybody this whole situation and this whole trial has been really eye opening to me as a person, naughty, and I think the next 8 weeks, the next weeks coming down to this time to the end of this is going to be really, I think, going to be really shocking to see. And I think if he could treat her like this, he can treat anybody like this. Uh,
Right.
he
Right.
he got
And abusing usually doesn't stop at one person. If they
yeah,
don't get help, they keep creating more and more victims.
He did that to all of them because he views women as his possessions.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he views them as his possessions, and he was into buck breaking. Okay, as it relates to the
Yes.
men. Okay, so I'm just saying he did it to their mama too.
Right. And for those of you who don't know what buck breaking is, this is a term that goes back to slavery. When they had a slave, especially a male, that was too prideful, wouldn't listen, wouldn't bend to their will, they will tie them to a tree and they would repeatedly grape him and beat him into submission. So this is kind of the same tactics that Diddy uses with artists, his employees, and things like that. I think his biggest addiction is to power.
Mm-hmm. And I think that he had a certain proclivity. He just needed to come up and to tell the truth. You ain't got to hide behind it and all the rest of that. Just tell the truth. I mean, if you got a different sexual persuasion, it's okay. A lot of people do. I mean, to each his own, but just be real and be open and honest with yours. You know what I mean?
I believe Diddy didn't want to come out is because that's what he used as leverage.
That's a good point.
In a lot of situations. That's why he didn't want to come out. It's not that he's ashamed of it or anything. He used that as leverage. Oh, you want a record deal? Well, you got to get on your knees for it.
Ah.
Then he'll record you doing it.
I know, right?
Then he'll blackmail you. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So he had more power keeping that secret into himself. You see,
Mm-hmm.
Cassie never came out and said Diddy was bisexual or anything.
Right.
A lot of what we heard was he would watch, he would direct, he would require semen to be rubbed on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until Jonathan Odie we found out he was participating
Mm.
capacity because allegedly Odie contracted the herp, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she got sued, right? But notice nobody's really spoke to his sexuality yet and say, hey, he bi, he this, he that. Except for Gene Dill.
I don't think I don't think we're gonna I don't know if we're gonna hear anything about his sexuality in the trial.
I don't know why we found out about R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if we find out about him, okay, I didn't know about that, but I would like to hear what happened behind closed doors, because I think there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors that we don't know about quite yet. But I'd
Right.
like to find out in the next 8 weeks or however long this trial is going to be. I heard it was going to be 8 to 10 weeks, but I guess it's going to be 8 weeks. But
We only on week 3?
we're only on week 3,
Mm-hmm.
so this is our continuing a week. This is our first day of week 3, and I like to see what tomorrow's gonna bring. Let alone the
I
8
am
weeks.
confident that each day is going to bring us another piece of the puzzle for the conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I really and I feel like people are making a lot of presumptions, and it's early in the trial, but I feel like the prosecution has a strong case. So I'm gonna say to my naughty crew, put a 1 in the chat if you feel like the prosecution has a strong case. Put a 2 in the chat if you feel like the defense is doing a very good job defending the diddler. And the next thing I'm gonna move into over the weekend, some audio of Diddy's former artist Q, who's from the group Day 26, dropped
I heard that.
conversation between him and Aubrey O'Day. Okay, now he was on Vlad TV. I would say about 4.5 months ago, and they were testifying. I mean, Day 26 has been vocal, like we weren't willing to do certain things for a check, but Q broke down and said that he was rugged, and that situation has him on mental medications to keep him healthy mentally for the rest of his life. Okay. Shout out to Juby Buggin for sending this article, and then we're gonna get into Dawn Richard's response. Okay.
I was around Dirty Money for about a year while they were creating Last Train to Paris. And I guess I was around because I was dating Dawn. So Diddy's like, I think he was very, very high. He's like, we're going to go to the Hamptons. He was like, we're going to go stay the night there and you guys want to come. And it felt very weird because his energy just felt so weird. You know what I mean? It was friendly high. You know what I'm saying? Like a friendly invitation to something. He wasn't usually like that? No, he's never invited all of us to one of his houses. Before we get to the Hamptons, they're like speeding like SUVs on the expressway, very, very fast. Like they were in a rush to get to the Hamptons. We get to the Hamptons.
Okay, here's another speeding situation. Well, Diddy is acting erratic and in high speed chase. This goes to show he felt like he was invincible and that he could do what he wanted to do. Patterns of behavior.
Nobody. I want to say the word. Nobody is invincible because everybody is guilty. Everybody is innocent to proven guilty, but nobody is invisible to the law.
Well, he has been for 30 years.
No matter what you do, no matter what you do, it's gonna come back. We don't have a time limit for what's gonna happen, but it's all gonna come back to you.
Mhm. All right, let's go. Let's continue with this audio.
Hamptons, and we walk through the house, and we arrive in the backyard near the pool, and my ex at the time, which was Dawn, she gave me an ecstasy pill. And she said... Is that what she said it was? Yeah, she said it was ecstasy, and she said it was from Puff to give to me. And it was red, and I took it because I thought I was going to get freaky with my girlfriend. You know, we tried ecstasy before, and I trusted her that that's what it was. So I took it immediately, and she had one too. He gave her two of them. I took mine. Within like 20 minutes, I knocked out and blacked out. I woke up in the twins' bedroom in the basement, and I woke up out of my sleep screaming very, very loud. Who are the twins? I don't know their names. You're talking about Diddy's daughters? Twins, yeah. Okay. Diddy's twins. His girls. Yeah, I woke up in their bed. Two cameras filming me, and they were laughing as I woke up out of my sleep, screaming. And it felt like... I'm not gonna cry. It's okay. Yeah, take your time. It's okay. It's understandable that you're reliving this and emotion comes with it. There's just no way around it. So it felt very sacrificial. That's what I meant when I said I felt like they were trying to hurt me, or Diddy was trying to maybe sacrifice me that night. I didn't say when I went on Vlad TV, I didn't say anything about finding a sacrificial email. Hold on. What he's discussing in regards to Vlad TV is that's one of the interviews that the boys did. He had to leave gaps within that interview, and they decided to fill those gaps. It's kind of what I've experienced this past week. As you guys know, we started this out, and it was, we all have this intention to talk our way through to the end of this trial and hopefully see justice for whatever whatever is proven and whatever the jury decides. Even you had situations that were just made up out of nowhere. So did I last week. He was discussing one in which he couldn't say certain things because he's honoring a contract. And within that, people decided to fill in the blanks. So he discussed an email. He had tears. People put it together that he's crying over an email and what it, basically tried to, suggest that he's not a man and he's boo-hooing over an email. I know there are some details about the incident you described. Maybe you don't want to get into. And no, let's get into it. Okay, we can. Can I go with how, I know you can be open about how it made you feel, right? So you're saying after this particular incident, you left there feeling, you called it sacrificial, but did you felt as if they were going to hurt me in my sleep? Because I woke up screaming. I woke up out my sleep screaming. So what I mean by it felt like sacrificial.
What do you mean? He woke up screaming from what? Was he in pain? What was he screaming about? Or was he just overwhelmed with fear because he did not know what happened to him?
I think it was probably overwhelming with fear, probably. I'm going to say allegedly, but I think it was overwhelmed with fear. So he probably, in order to get away from, in order to try to get away from the fear, maybe, it probably made him scream and probably made him feel better in the moment.
Right.
I'm just gonna say allegedly because I don't know.
Yep, this all is allegedly, and this all falls under fair use. We're just giving our opinions and our commentary about what he is saying.
It felt like someone was trying to hurt me or take me out because I possibly couldn't have woke up out of my sleep that night. Do you know what happened to you? I woke up screaming like a girl to the top of my lungs at a high pitch. Well, did you have clothes on? I think I was in my shorts because I remember jumping into a swimming pool. But do you believe that some of what happened to you was recorded on one or many of these iPhones? Oh, yeah. I saw phones and lights. It wasn't a video camera. It was a phone camera light. So there are people who do know what happened to you, and there's a reason you believe why they're not telling you? Mm-hmm.
Wow. And now is he alluding to Dawn? I mean, out of everybody, I felt like Dawn's testimony wasn't that compelling. What But Dawn has since responded, you guys. Shout out to New York Online. Let me see if Tells we can get her. Hey Tells.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we could. I'm
Okay.
just gonna get into Dawn's response to Q. All right. So she said, I want to be unequivocally clear. I have never rugged anyone, nor have I ever given anyone PILLS to take. The suggestion that I did so is categorically false. It's such a belief were genuine, it would be inconsistent with the actions that follow, such as inviting me into your home, introducing me to your younger sister and family, and continue a relationship with me. It will also be inconsistent with choosing to attend social events without me, engaging with individuals I had previously expressed concerns about, and continuing to live with or provide favors to those same individuals. Many of these actions occurred while I was not present and even in contact with you. Throughout our time together and even after our separation, I made a conscious decision not to share or disclose private matters or the circumstances surrounding the end of our relationship to protect you. I did this out of respect for you and your family. At this moment, I believe it is essential to recognize that many people are dealing with pain and hardship, and this situation is not about one person. It reflects broader harm that has affected many. I sincerely hope that healing and wholeness are possible for all involved. My intention is and always has been to move forward with compassion and integrity, and I pray that others can do the same. Okay. Then Q response. He says, I take full accountability for what I allowed into my life because in the end, I had a choice. But let me be candid. I genuinely believe I was taking something I tried before, saying he tried E before. It wasn't E. It turned out to be a tranquilizer given to me by my ex girlfriend, who claimed it was from her boss to give me. Roughly 20 minutes after swallowing the red pill, my body heated up and I collapsed into unconsciousness. I remember being on the upper level of the mansion near the pool and then nothing. I later woke up in a room downstairs, lying in the bed with no memory of how I got there. I emerged from a deep, paralyzing sleep, screaming and sobbing, my body in shock, my mind spinning in confusion. The horror of realizing I'd been drugged was something far more potent than I was led to believe shatter me. There were two red pills. She never took hers. That part always haunted me. He is alluding to Dawn setting him up. And I believe it's possible. That's one of the biggest tricks people use in the industry. They'll use the females to set up the men, because they know men are vulnerable when it comes to the PUSSY. Let's talk about it, okay?
Yes, it's called a honeypot.
Honey pie, thank you. Hey, Tells, welcome to the panel. Q, you said too much for me. Go ahead, welcome to the panel. What are your thoughts?
I think two things can exist at once, or more than one thing can exist at the same time. I think both Dawn and Cassie were victims who eventually fell under Stockholm syndrome and eventually became co-conspirators.
Right.
That's what I meant when I said Cassie's not a perfect victim. Yeah, I will not take any of the horrors that she went through away from her. Never. We'll never do that. But at some point, you know the difference between right from wrong.
Right.
So does she have a certain amount of victims out there? Probably, just like I think Usher does too. As far as Dawn is concerned, oh yes. I think that yes, she was a victim and she may have victimized others.
Right. And I just want to speak to this because people are constantly saying, well, she has so many opportunities to leave. She did leave. She got married and now she's on baby number 3. She left.
It takes a lot of times.
It takes a lot of times, but she left ultimately, right?
Yes. Yes.
What do you think about Capricorn Clark's testimony today?
Like I said in the chat, I think she did an amazing job exuding the pain that she went through. She had emotions. I'm hoping she's the linchpin that puts him underneath the prison.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have 6 or 7 more weeks left. We still have a long way to go. A long way to go. And I just think that the feds are just building, slowly building. And by the end of the 6 or 8, I mean, because just from the documents that they put out onto the internet, the court documents, they've got this on lock. The feds have a 98% conviction rate. 90%. If they did not know for a fact that they could put this man in prison, they would have never moved forward.
Right. I agree with you. I agree with you. Juby Buggin has a good question. She said, why the twins had a bedroom in the basement? Good question. And also, why they let him be in those girls' room? Why does his story sound like parts of the movie Blink Twice?
There are so many people complicit. There are so many people complicit. He was not able to get away with what he got away with for almost 40 years without, well, 30 years without many, 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 many accomplices.
Right. He was using his security to stalk Cassie. Please thumbs up this video. Every time she would leave, once like Cassie's ex-best friend testified, Cassie tried to leave. By the time she got to Connecticut to her parents' home, Diddy was at the dinner table.
Right. And let me be clear, when I say accomplices, I don't mean just the people who work for him, because that is a power dynamic that is also abusive.
Right.
I'm talking about hospitals, police force,
Doctors, coroners.
doctors, higher ups. I mean, just look at all the videos at who was at his parties. We're talking about billions of dollars in those rooms.
Right. Will someone else be? I say Diddy is just a small piece of the iceberg. We need to knock the whole thing down. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how we know that he's for sure going to go, because they're not going to send any of the YT people through that. Look what happened with Weinstein. He's getting ready, or he's either getting ready to get out or he's out.
that yeah, something happened where they found a technicality to overturn.
Small technicality.
Small. He's still a predator.
Exactly. So, because he's billions of dollars. So, powerful entities, just like all of the redacted lines in the Epstein case.
Right.
What's underneath those black blocks?
Right. Right. But you see how the system protects the predators, the perpetrators? Why can't we know all these names?
Because it goes to the top.
Right. That's because you got judges participating in this. You got people in the Congress participating in it. Police officers participating in it. Police officers' salary aren't that great.
They're low on the totem pole. I'm talking about the top. The very top. And that's all I'm going to say, because, they're always listening, and I always have a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah. Yes. Radar is up. So I hope you look, guys, go check out my commentary from this morning in front of the courthouse. It was lit. I caught mad footage. Hip Hop Inquirer interviewed with me, filled me in on things. Ratchet TV interviewed with me. It was quite a few content creators out there. Gene Dill was definitely there sitting in the courthouse. And then you had your Diddy supporters out there. So I got all perspectives today. So I hope you guys go check it out. We got a lot of views. I had a great time. It's a different energy when you're at the courthouse. But good vibes for sure.
Diddy supporters are paid actors.
I think so too. Wait, why I thought this woman was Jag Liar coming up on me? I had to double take, because it's on site with me and her. You know what I'm saying?
I want to put it in there, but no, we don't want to put nobody through.
But she looked a lot like her.
Jaguar is stressful. I can't with her.
Child, but you know she'll do anything to attach herself to anything to get popping again. Capricorn Clark just testified today. Please check out the replay, you guys. We just went through all of that, and I'll go around and get closing thoughts. But I really, really feel like the prosecution is doing a great job of building their case and proving the racketeering, proving the X trafficking, the ST, okay, proving the coercion and the forced labor. I think they're doing an excellent job. I think they're doing an excellent job at showing how Diddy used Diddy Enterprises to fund all this criminal activity. A few names that keep dropping over and over again: D-Rock. Okay. Can I also mention after Capricorn Clark got fired, she went to work for Chris Lighty, who is responsible for the $1 million deal for vitamin water he got for 50 Cent. And she was doing management of 50 Cent's career up until Chris Lighty was passed away. Let's just say that, okay? And she broke down on the stand in tears when she had to talk about it. So, Tells, I'll start with you since you joined the panel lab. Final thoughts. How do you feel about the case so far?
He is going down. Period. Point blank. I mean, I can remember being super young, hearing Diddy stories and not being allowed to listen to his music along with the other monster, R. Kelly. He's going down. My problem is I really want Black people to stop pushing monsters and their deeds underneath the carpet. Let's get them out the community and let the YTs focus on that end, and let's like heal our own community. That's what I want. And I think him going to prison will go a long way to do that because he's done so much generational damage. I just can't imagine how many people he's impacted with his, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's beyond being a monster.
I call it reign of terror.
Yes, exactly. And I think that the prosecution is doing a good job. I think they are, every chip in his armor, they're slowly straightening them out. Like they're getting all their ducks in a row. And I think people need to remember this is only what, week 2?
Week 3, the beginning
Week
of
3. We still have a month and a half left of testimony. And I want Lauren London to testify.
I do too.
With Nip. I really want some answers with Nipsey Hussle. His death was not out of the blue, I feel. I need some answers about Tupac and I need some answers about Biggie. That's what I want. I want murder to be added to his RICO charges because I just feel that he's committed some. I mean, he blew up Kid Cudi's car.
I mean, if he would go that far.
Well, there is a check somewhere where he paid for, I don't know the word. I hate coming up with new words for words, but the pow pow of Tupac.
Right.
So I need the feds to find that check and get some people on the stand.
So the former bad boy president, what was his name? I reviewed his lawsuit. And in his lawsuit, it includes, because you know back then they used to write everything down. It wasn't as computerized like today. And he has in his notebook him setting up flights for Biggie's mother, setting up rental cars for the guys that to drive to the West Coast and everything. So I mean, see, the problem with Diddy is he crossed a lot of people. He wronged a lot of people. And people had to sit with that hurt, that fear for years. That's why they don't mind coming out and testifying now. Like, it's only but so many bridges you can burn.
Exactly. And I hate this, but why are they just now saying something? No, people have been saying something for decades. They have been saying things about this for decades. And, before the super information highway and before social media, things didn't come to the light as quickly. And usually by the time they came to light, possibly months and years had gone by.
Right.
So, and now everything is immediate.
Right.
Of course, and he doesn't have the reach that he used to. regardless of how he feels about it with his narcissism, he's not that powerful anymore.
Nope.
There are,
Nobody love brother love. Nope.
right, there are instances so much more powerful than he is.
Right. He's lost his influence. That's why he attached himself to Young Miami to boost up his influence again.
Yeah, so that's I want justice for all the victims. I want him to rot literally and figuratively underneath the cell in someone's Pentagon basement. I don't care. I just need him to go away.
Yes. Yes. I definitely feel like he's a threat to society at this point. Dustin, what are your closing thoughts?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think I agree with what I agree that I think he's guilty. I think that he's guilty. I think that he's going to get time in prison, and I feel bad for the victims. Like I said at the beginning, I think that I think that the rest of this trial is going to be very interesting, and I think that I'll be interested to see what tomorrow brings because I'll be interested to see you back on here tomorrow, and hopefully
Yes.
you'll have me. Hopefully you'll have me back up for the live tomorrow night, evening, whenever you do it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna come live tomorrow evening after trial is over so that we can recap everything together.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely be here because I enjoy being here with you all, and I want to see what the rest of this trial brings. But I'm very my eyes are locked to this trial right now. That's
Trial
all.
of the century.
Yes, it is. My eyes are locked to the trial, and I think that he is going to get a long time in prison. I think that he's guilty. I think that he's already guilty. That's just allegedly, and I think that he thinks that, and I think that. I don't think he's going to get off if he. And I don't think he's going to get off of this, and I think that he's going to be spending a lot of time in prison. And
Absolutely.
I hope he does because the victims are they're the people's lives are going to be changed forever. Naughty love, and I don't think just like the lady that was blacklisted, she shouldn't have been blacklisted because he didn't do it. He did, but even though she was involved in it, because she was involved with him, she's being had to pay the consequences. That's not fair to me. Not 11, and that makes me frustrated and aggravated, and it's very sickening that he made all these people suffer like this. It's very I don't like people, and I believe in karma. I think that his karma is coming to him.
Right, right. Absolutely. Well, Dustin, I'll be here tomorrow for you. I appreciate you joining the panel. But I appreciate you contributing today. I really, really do. You made a lot of great valid points, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm about to close the show. All right.
All
Take
right, so I'll see you tomorrow. Just drop the link and I'll be here.
Okay. Thank
I'll be
you.
here. You're welcome.
All right. All right, Tells. I'll keep my eye out. Guys, if I get another day off during the week like this, I will definitely try to go over to the jail to get you guys some live coverage because it was dope today. I was so happy I went. And let me tell you, I hesitated. I hesitated at first, like, do I want to go? And I'll say, you know what? This is your only chance right now. It's all good, Tails. It's all good because I'm about to close the show. So let's leave it in the comments, Naughty Crew. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Of course, donations are appreciated. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you feel like the prosecution is doing a great job of presenting their case. I think they're doing an excellent job. And not to say like the defense, they be getting their little jabs in there every once in a while, but I don't feel like they get things, make points that stick, that overrule what everyone has been through in relation to the diddler. Okay. Yeah, you could be a shrewd businessman, but that doesn't give you the right to put your employees in harm's way. That doesn't give you the right to feel like you need to control everybody's life. And that's what I get from him. Capricorn said she would work from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. And Diddy told her, you don't have no life when you working for me. It's all about me. So that just goes to show the mindset, the control, and the possession. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I love you all. I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed evening. And thank you for hanging in there with me today. We got 3 lives. Please go check out my live earlier if you want to see what went on outside of the courthouse. And then this afternoon, I went inside the building. So it's open to the public. I didn't have any problems. So I love you all. Until next time, Nighty Crew, I'm out. 1.